The first video clip was shaky. Tyler's camera darted between his grinning face and the sprawling, fog-choked pines behind him. His voice crackled with excitement. "Day 1, he whispered dramatically. "Deep in the Oregon Cascades. No cell signal, no people for miles. If we find Bigfoot or something, I'm getting 1,000,000 views." He turned the camera to Mara and Rosa, trudging up the narrow, overgrown trail. Mara's eyes flicked up at the canopy as distant thunder rolled, the sky a dark, bruised gray. Rosa kept glancing over her shoulder like she expected someone, or something, to be following. It was supposed to be a 3-day backpacking trip to film the wilderness for Tyler's YouTube channel. But even before they set up camp, the forest felt wrong. That night, sitting around a small fire, they heard it for the first time. A low hum, like a distant generator pulsing through the ground. Every few minutes, a flash of cold white light swept between the trees, quick and silent, like lightning without thunder. Tyler's camera caught one of the flashes, a bright beam cutting horizontally through the fog behind Mara's head. When they replayed it on the tiny screen, the light froze halfway, lingering for a frame longer than it should, illuminating a faint metallic shape deeper in the forest. Mara frowned. "That's not lightning." Rosa's voice quivered. "Then what is it?" They barely slept. Each time their eyes closed, they jolted awake to the same hum vibrating through their bones. The forest was deathly quiet. No owls, no insects, just the crackling of dying embers. At dawn, an unnatural stillness hung in the air. The birds never returned. The forest smelled burned, like hot metal, even though nothing around them was scorched. They packed their gear in tense silence. Tyler kept filming, convinced something incredible was out there. Rosa tried to hide the panic in her eyes. Mara checked her compass every few minutes. No matter which way she turned, the needle spun slowly in circles. After an hour of trudging through thickening fog, they crested a ridge, and there it was. Half buried in a crater of charred earth sat something enormous, a blackened, ovoid structure like a fallen meteor fused with alien metal. Shattered pines radiated out from the impact, their trunks sheared clean. The object's surface pulsed faintly, as if breathing. A thin mist seeped from cracks along its hull, curling over the burned soil. Mara grabbed Tyler's arm. "Turn that camera off," but Tyler only smiled wide, eyes shining with adrenaline. "Are you kidding? This is it. This is how we blow up online." Somewhere inside the crater, deep within the object, something shifted, and the forest's silence broke with a long, metallic groan. A cold breeze swept through the crater as the hikers huddled near the ship. A distant rumble echoed across the valley, gravel crunching under heavy tires. Mara's head snapped up. Through drifting fog, headlights glowed, cutting pale beams across the dark forest. 3 black SUVs rolled to a silent stop at the tree line. Their doors opened in eerie unison. Figures in matte black tactical suits stepped out, night vision goggles already over their eyes. They fanned out with silent precision, sweeping the area with handheld scanners, emitting faint clicking noises. Mara pulled Tyler and Rosa down behind a fallen log. "Don't move," she hissed. The air around them seemed to tighten with static. One of the agents lifted a radio to his helmet. "Team Echo, we have residual radiation. Tertiary anomaly confirmed. Repeat, tertiary anomaly confirmed." Tyler's camera whirred as it filmed over the log. He zoomed in on a patch on the agent's sleeve, a black emblem with an angular, spiraling symbol. "Are those government?" he whispered. Mara shook her head. "There's something else." The agents began setting up perimeter lights, their pale beams cutting through fog and revealing twisted, scorched trees around the crater. A few climbed down into the pit, sweeping their detectors over the ship's hull. Inside the UFO, Mara and Rosa crawled into the shadows of a ribbed corridor, ears straining. Boots crunched outside, radios crackled with cold, clipped voices. "They're coming in," Rosa whimpered. "Then we go deeper," Mara decided, dragging them into the ship's dark heart. They passed a small alcove, finding a black duffel bag with a red stenciled label, Project Parallax. Inside were syringes filled with clear liquid, each stamped with a military serial code, and a compact device that looked like a cross between a taser and a defibrillator. "What the hell is this stuff?" Tyler muttered, filming it all. A bright light swept across the corridor entrance behind them, an agent's flashlight. They flattened against the wall, barely breathing. The agent paused, scanning the area with a handheld thermal imager. Mara's heart hammered. On the screen, she saw a faint orange shape, her own heat signature, blinking in and out as the UFO's walls distorted the signal. The agent cursed softly, tapped the device, and moved on. They stayed frozen until his footsteps receded into silence. Tyler pulled them forward. "We're so close," he whispered. "We can expose them and the ship. This is bigger than anything." Rosa's voice cracked with terror. "You don't get it. You saw what they're carrying. They're not here to rescue anyone, they'll erase us. They'll make everyone think we're crazy." The humming intensified. Green light pulsed in the walls. Over the rising whine, they heard the agent's radios barking orders. Negative on civilian contacts. Proceeding with containment. Explosives ready on perimeter. A deep voice crackled through. "If they've entered the anomaly, they're a threat. Authorization granted." Mara's blood ran cold. "They mean us." A sudden tremor knocked them apart. Mara fell hard against a wall, dazed. When she looked up, Rosa and Tyler were gone. Only the fading echoes of their footsteps remained. She staggered to her feet, calling out. Her voice returned to her oddly warped, like a recording played backward. As she pressed on, Mara's head spun. Corridors shifted beneath her feet. Sometimes she felt like she was walking uphill, then downhill, then sideways. A low, clicking growl rolled through the air, accompanied by the distant hiss of something scraping metal. She ducked into an alcove as the sound drew closer. Something emerged from the darkness ahead, towering, almost humanoid in shape, but its limbs moved with a shuddering, staccato jerkiness, as if existing in frames of old film. The creature's head flickered between shapes, a human skull, an insect's mandibles, a featureless black oval. Where eyes should have been, only darkness gaped. It paused, head twitching as if scenting the air. The clicking intensified. The walls around Mara pulsed with each click, faintly echoing the creature's rhythm. She forced herself to move silently down a side corridor, boots whispering over the strange ribbed floor. Each step felt like the ship itself was aware of her, the air tightening with invisible pressure. Elsewhere, Rosa found herself alone in a room lined with tall, cylindrical tanks filled with an opaque, shimmering liquid. Within some of them floated shapes, some vaguely humanoid, others like enormous insects or jellyfish. Every now and then, a shape twitched or rolled in its tank. The humming returned, louder now, vibrating her bones. Symbols across the tanks flared red. The liquid in the tanks began to boil violently, releasing clouds of hissing steam. As she backed away, one tank shattered outward. A mass of black tendrils slithered across the floor, seeking her with unnatural speed. Rosa screamed, sprinting out of the chamber, heart pounding so violently it hurt. Her breath came in ragged gasps as the ship's corridors distorted around her, walls flexing like the gills of a massive beast. Tyler's camera continued rolling as he found himself alone in a tight, spherical chamber. The walls were smooth and mirror-like, reflecting infinite versions of himself, each reflection slightly wrong, some smiling when he wasn't, others blinking out of sync. A voice echoed softly from the darkness, a perfect imitation of Mara's voice, but drained of all emotion. "Tyler, come deeper." He stepped backward, eyes wide. The camera caught a brief, impossible image, an endless hallway filled with shadows crawling on the walls like insects. The humming rose to a piercing whine. His last footage showed a black, spindly limb shooting from the darkness, wrapping around his waist, dragging him off camera. His screams warped into garbled static. Mara rounded a corner and nearly collided with Rosa, who was sobbing hysterically. Together they ran, following the faintest draft of fresh, cold air, a sign of an exit. Doors slammed and opened around them, the ship shifting its interior like a maze. The creature's clicking calls grew closer, bouncing off every surface until it seemed to come from all directions. They burst into the crater, stumbling into dawn's pale light. For a moment, they collapsed together on the charred earth, gulping air, the humming fading behind them. Then, a shadow fell over them. Slowly, they looked up. The ship's opening pulsed, and from it emerged the flickering figure, a towering, angular being that distorted like a broken hologram, limbs elongating and contracting impossibly, its form never settling. The forest around them was wrong, trees twisted into spirals, branches growing and retracting in seconds. Stars overhead blurred, spinning like a whirlpool in the sky. Mara grabbed Rosa's hand. Run! They sprinted through the distorted forest, the creature gliding after them with uncanny silence. Sometimes it was dozens of feet tall, other times barely human-sized, its clicking call rising and falling with each step. Branches clawed at their clothes, roots shifted underfoot. Time seemed fractured. Sunlight flickered in and out as though days passed in seconds. Finally, they stumbled onto an old logging road. A pickup truck appeared around a bend, brakes squealing as it stopped inches from them. A bearded man climbed out, eyes wide. "What the hell? Are you two okay?" Behind them, the forest fell eerily silent. The ship was gone. Only a scorched crater remained. Mara's phone buzzed with a notification. She pulled it out, hands shaking. On the screen, Tyler's final footage played in an endless loop, his screams warping into static, shadows shifting unnaturally behind him. She looked at the man, voice hoarse. "You need to call the police. Call everyone." The old pickup rumbled down the mountain road. Mara and Rosa huddled in the back seat beneath a ragged blanket. The driver kept glancing at them in the rearview mirror, eyes wary. Neither of the girls spoke. Every time Mara tried, words caught in her throat like shards of glass. By the time they reached a small ranger station on the outskirts of the forest, the sun was climbing high, but the sky looked wrong. Clouds twisted into spirals, faint rainbow-like halos flickering around the sun. Paramedics checked them over, asking the same questions again and again. Where did you come from? Were there others with you? What happened? Mara's only answer was a trembling whisper. The crash. We found it. But it found us too. Rosa's phone had survived. Late that afternoon, as they sat in the ranger station, police radios blaring updates about a rapidly spreading forest fire near their camp, her phone buzzed with a new notification. Video upload complete. She stared at the screen. Her hands trembled as she realized Tyler's camera footage had auto-synced to a cloud drive, and someone, or something, had uploaded it online. Across the country, and soon the world, a video titled UFO Found in Oregon Forest. Real footage appeared on dozens of accounts, posted simultaneously. It showed raw, glitching clips, the towering ship, the shifting creature, Tyler's final moments. Shadows moved in ways that defied logic. Unnatural sounds garbled the audio. Viewers reported nausea and headaches after watching. Conspiracy forums lit up within minutes. Was it real? A hoax? Comments piled up by the thousands. News stations picked up the video, some dismissing it as viral marketing, others interviewing UFO researchers who claimed it matched old reports of strange lights over the Cascades decades earlier. Search parties combed the forest where Mara and Rosa were found. They found the scorched crater, but no ship, no signs of Tyler, and no evidence of alien technology. Trees around the area were blackened and twisted, sap frozen mid-drip as if time had paused during the heat of the blast. A team of federal agents arrived quickly, setting up roadblocks, confiscating cameras, and interviewing the girls in hushed tones. At night, unmarked helicopters hovered over the forest, shining floodlights into the treetops. Locals began whispering about men in suits who paid visits to anyone who shared the video, telling them in no uncertain terms to take it down. But each time one upload disappeared, another surfaced somewhere else, faster than it could be scrubbed. Through the ranger station window, Mara watched as more black SUVs rolled into the parking lot. Men in tactical suits stepped out, scanning the area with handheld devices. They moved with quiet urgency, voices low as they coordinated with local law enforcement. The agents' radios crackled with updates from teams still in the forest. Fragments of tense conversations drifted through. No contact with Echo Team. Unknown entity still active. Anomalies spreading beyond perimeter. A tall, expressionless man in a dark suit entered quietly, flashing an ID too quickly for anyone to read. He conferred with the sheriff and paramedics, his gestures clipped, face unreadable. The officer's shoulders stiffened. Some glanced nervously at Mara and Rosa. Moments later, the man approached them, eyes cold and unwavering. "You girls have seen something you shouldn't. I'd recommend you say nothing, if you value your lives and reputations." He placed a heavy hand on Mara's shoulder, leaning in to whisper, "We can make the world think you're dangerous liars, or we can make sure you simply disappear." Rosa whimpered as the man turned on his heel and strode back toward the entrance. Outside, more agents were arriving, carrying sealed black cases into the ranger station. A sense of finality hung in the air, like the quiet before a storm. But as the man in black left the room, Rosa's phone buzzed again. A new notification appeared. Video upload successful, mirrored on 1,300 plus channels. Tyler's footage had already spread. Someone or something was ensuring the world saw what they had found. The agents were too late. Across the internet, the video ignited a firestorm of speculation. Reddit threads exploded with frame-by-frame analyses of Tyler's final moments. TikTok creators made rapid cuts of the flickering creature, adding eerie music to chase views. Conspiracy channels dissected each glitch in the footage, pointing out blurry shapes moving in the fog and the faint outline of figures in black suits standing at the edge of the crater. Podcasts devoted entire episodes to the event, inviting experts and skeptics to argue whether the footage was the smoking gun for alien life or a sophisticated hoax planted by a government agency. Talk show hosts joked nervously about the Oregon crash, their laughter thin and strained. News anchors, forced to cover it by overwhelming public interest, shifted uncomfortably as they played clips of the blurry ship rising behind twisted trees. In bars, coffee shops, and break rooms, people argued, real or fake? What did it mean? How could it have spread so fast? Meanwhile, on a private forum frequented by military contractors and intelligence analysts, a series of encrypted messages appeared under the header Cascade Anomaly. Entity remains uncontained. Digital proliferation phase active. Prepare secondary protocols. The messages ended with a symbol, a spiral intersecting sharp triangles. The same symbol Mara and Rosa had glimpsed inside the ship. Elsewhere, a man in a dark room watched the footage loop on dozens of monitors. His eyes reflected the flickering creature as it stepped from the ship's ruins. He reached for a red phone, his voice cold. They failed. Begin cleanup. Deploy task force. That night, in quiet neighborhoods thousands of miles from Oregon, strangers in dark vans parked on residential streets. Silent figures stepped onto porches, leaving black envelopes marked with the spiral symbol. Inside each envelope was a simple note: "Forget what you saw." But the footage kept spreading. In the final moments of the video, now mirrored across every platform, the flickering creature stood at the edge of the forest, head slowly turning toward the camera. The video glitched, freezing on a single frame of its inhuman eyes, black voids reflecting a spiral of stars. A distorted whisper played in reverse. "It's not over." And as millions watched from their phones and laptops, some swore the darkness in the creature's eyes moved, as if seeing back through the screen.